From dunks on Deadpool's creator to a wasteland littered with Easter eggs, the folks behind Deadpool and Wolverine put maximum effort into packing the film with small details. Did you catch all of these? Warning, spoilers ahead.
This is what I'm talking about.
There's a montage early in the film in which Deadpool looks for a living Wolverine from the other worlds of the multiverse to help him. Needless to say, most of them aren't willing to help Deadpool, but there are some noteworthy Wolverines in the bunch. First, there's a very short version of the character, which isn't actually referring to a specific version. See, Hugh Jackman is comics accurate in many ways, but height is not one of them. In real life, Jackman is 6'2", but in most media, Wolverine's a lot shorter, about 5'3" in the comics. And while this version in the movie may be a bit exaggerated, it's still more accurate than what Hugh Jackman portrays. Among others, there's also Old Man Logan, who shoots Deadpool with a shotgun he had under his blanket, the Wolverine from Wolverine vs. Hulk who is wearing the brown and tan costume from the original comics, and a Wolverine with amazing glam rock style hair that appears to be a throwback to Wolverine's first solo series. Then there's a variant from the Uncanny X-Men number 251, which shows Logan crucified on an X amidst a blanket of skulls, and Patch, Wolverine's alter ego, a gambler who wears a white tux. Deadpool, of course, chooses none of these as his champion. Instead, he goes with the version who let down his world and likes to drink a lot.
Oh, whiskey of the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40.
In the X-Men series, telepaths like Xavier and Cassandra Nova are borderline unstoppable. If you can control your enemies' minds, you control the battle. To defeat this, characters like Magneto, Sebastian Shaw, and Juggernaut have specially designed helmets that block all forms of telepathy. And it turns out, that barrier works both ways, as Deadpool demonstrates when he slaps just such a helmet down on Cassandra's head during a climactic fight. Reference-wise, it has strong whiffs of a move Deadpool deployed at one point during the Jerry Duggan run of Uncanny Avengers. In those comics, Deadpool gets one over on a mind-controlled Rogue by slipping the helmet on her head during a fight. It instantly snaps Rogue out of it, letting her turn the tables on her enemy, just like Deadpool turns the tables on Cassandra Nova. Cassandra has been in the Void since her birth. She thinks of it as her home and doesn't like to leave. But that doesn't mean she begrudges other people the opportunity. In fact, she allows Deadpool and Wolverine to leave after they defeat her, but let her live. And she does it with a sling ring.
What's the thing on his hand?
If you saw Doctor Strange, the term should sound familiar. A sling ring is a device sorcerers wear on their hands to open portals to other places. That Cassandra got a sling ring in the Void probably means a sorcerer got sent there before her. Whoever that sorcerer was, they must not have been very good at their craft, because Cassandra has the sling ring and the sorcerer no longer exists. Cassandra easily uses the sling ring to open a portal to Deadpool's world, which also begs the question, how hard can it be to use those things? When they find themselves back in Deadpool's universe, Deadpool and Wolverine end up slamming into a store called Liefeld's Just Feet. For casual viewers, it's just another thing that gets smashed up throughout their journey. But any comic book fans in the audience know it's poking fun at Rob Liefeld, the co-creator of Deadpool, and his apparent inability to draw feet. At this point, it's pretty much a running joke after Deadpool 2 also poked fun at Liefeld.
What coked out, glass pipe sucking freak show comic book artist came up with that little chestnut? Probably a guy who can't draw feet!
But the joke definitely didn't start with the Deadpool movies. Though Liefeld has shown feet in his comics, he seems to avoid them a lot of the time. And it's an old joke that the guy just can't draw feet. That doesn't mean that Liefeld holds any hard feelings about it though. In fact, Liefeld approved of the movie and enjoyed the gag as much as everyone else. He posted on X, "It's an honor to have the Liefeld name on display in a prominent manner in what will be a most significant film. Who wouldn't want this as part of their legacy?" Until his death in 2018, Stan Lee made cameos in almost all the Marvel movies, including Deadpool. In the first Deadpool movie in 2016, he plays an MC at a strip club, and in the second Deadpool movie in 2018, he's depicted in graffiti art as Domino is flying through the air. Deadpool and Wolverine continues that tradition, even though Lee is no longer with us. During the fight between Deadpool and Wolverine and 100 other Deadpool variants, there's a Stanley Steemer ad on the side of the bus in the scene. While it's not the most noble cameo, it is an amusing joke and a great Easter egg for those who spot it. Deadpool is known for his signature snarky humor that doesn't always hit above the belt. He frequently goes for the jugular in Deadpool and Wolverine, but there are a couple jokes sprinkled throughout the movie referencing actors' real-life divorces that may sting a little harder. At one point, Deadpool teases about Wolverine. He's usually shirtless, but he's let himself go since the divorce. While Wolverine has had plenty of lovers in Marvel Comics, this is most likely referencing Hugh Jackman actually divorcing his wife, Deborah Lee Furness, which was announced to the public in September 2023. The pair was married for 27 years, so if that's what the joke is actually hinting at, it's pretty amazing Jackman would be cool with it.
Want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback?
Go
yourself.
The next divorce reference comes when Deadpool meets with other trashed multiversal Marvel characters, including Elektra, with Jennifer Garner reprising the role. It's brought up that Daredevil, who was played by Garner's ex-husband Ben Affleck in 2003's Daredevil, has since died. Deadpool offers his condolences, to which Elektra responds that it's fine. No love lost there, it would seem. Hugh Jackman and Jennifer Garner's divorces aren't the only real-world celebrity gossip Deadpool and Wolverine dabbles in. Wesley Snipes also appears as Blade, marking a troubled reunion of sorts between him and Ryan Reynolds, who played Hannibal King in 2004's Blade Trinity. The story is that Snipes was notoriously difficult to work with in Blade Trinity, and after the fact, it was rumored that Reynolds flat out refused to work with Snipes again. Clearly, that's all in the past, since the two have a few scenes together in Deadpool and Wolverine, and also poke fun at the reported contentious relationship. After some Deadpool banter, Blade states how he doesn't like the mark with the mouth, to which Deadpool responds, quote, "You never did." It's a humorous way to call out the controversy, but after 20 years, maybe it's for the best that the two were able to put any animosity between them to bed. After all, you know what they say.
Some are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Fans had one thing to say after seeing Lady Deadpool appear in a Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. That's definitely Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife in real life. Even though Lady Deadpool never unmasks in the movie, she does get a couple of lines that are indeed said by none other than Lively. It's a fun cameo that helps turn the flick into a real family affair. However, there's a chance fans may have guessed Lively was the vivacious Deadpool variant based on a cheeky line from earlier. Nicepool tells Deadpool and Wolverine to watch out for the Deadpool Corps, especially Lady Deadpool. He even gives her some props by saying how she just had a baby and already got into such great shape. Reynolds and Lively have 4 children together total, with their most recent being little Olin, who came into the world in February 2023. 2012's The Avengers has one of the most significant post-credit scenes of all time with the Thanos tease, and it also has one of the funniest when the Avengers are seen hanging out at a shawarma shop.
You ever tried shawarma? There's a shawarma joint about 2 blocks from here. I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
Deadpool and Wolverine decides to get in on the fun by having the duo enjoy some shawarma toward the end of the film. Deadpool jokingly says how the Avengers discovered shawarma, and obviously that isn't true, but the movie did raise awareness about the Middle Eastern dish. The Avengers boosted shawarma sales in the United States, with many restaurants and food carts reporting how they saw a sharp increase in people ordering the meal following the movie's release. It goes to show the power of a well-timed joke, and for many, the Avengers may have been the first time they had ever heard about it, hence Deadpool's riff. The credits for superhero movies tend to be exceptionally long. It takes a lot of people to get a spectacle of this magnitude off the ground, but if you stay in your seat the whole way through, you just may encounter some special dedications to those who are sadly no longer with us. Henry Delaney, the son of Rob Delaney, who plays Peter in Deadpool and Wolverine, passed away in 2018 from a brain tumor at just 2.5 years old. Deadpool and Wolverine is dedicated to Henry's memory. Another dedication in the credits is for Raymond Chan, who died on April 23rd at the age of 56. He worked in various capacities for numerous film productions, including serving as the supervising art director for Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame. He was a production designer for Deadpool and Wolverine, and following his passing, Ryan Reynolds shared a statement with Deadline. He built worlds from scratch, and did so in the most collaborative and inclusive ways. Ray was peerless. There are several crowd-pleasing moments of heroes suiting up in Deadpool and Wolverine, but the only moment cooler than Hugh Jackman pulling up his cowl is the next generation of Weapon X sticking on some shades before a fight. And not just any shades, the very same sunglasses that she wore in Logan. In a movie ripe with references, this is another detail that's less of a throwaway moment and one carefully placed amidst the chaos. It's a lovely little bit of care applied to Daphne Keene's character that proves just how important she was in this 24-year-old franchise, and hopefully what we could see more of in the future if X-23 ever returns. After seemingly retiring as Wolverine in 2017 after the character's death in Logan, Hugh Jackman celebrated by taking center stage in the blockbuster movie musical The Greatest Showman. Of course, Jackman decided that he wasn't actually done, and now that the Australian actor is back in Deadpool and Wolverine, his stint as P.T. Barnum is the perfect ammunition to lovingly poke fun at him. As the two mutants scuffle in a Honda, Logan ends up pressed against the radio, and when that happens, he's treated to a snippet of the opening number to the Oscar-nominated movie. This isn't the first time that a Deadpool movie has joked about musicals either. After all, Deadpool 2 features a running gag about how Do You Want to Build a Snowman from Frozen sounds suspiciously similar to Papa Can You Hear Me from Barbra Streisand's 1983 film Yentl.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes! But I can't.
Some musical fans might be sad that neither Deadpool nor Wolverine sing This Is Me, but hopefully their fight scene set to You're the One That I Want from Grease makes up for it. Given that the Void is a garbage dump filled with just about anything, it acts as a resting place for both MCU and 20th Century Fox Marvel movies alike. In the case of the latter, even the logo of the studio itself, which has since been bought by Disney, has been left to crumble and fall apart. There are also a few iconic vehicles that have made their way over. There's Red Skull's Hydra car from Captain America: The First Avenger, the cupcake truck Moon Knight commandeers in his Disney Plus series, and even the Guardians of the Galaxy's former ride, the Milano. Additionally, while it might not line up with designs from the previous iterations of the Fantastic Four, the Fantastic car does hover in, being ridden by Cassandra Nova's cronies. There's no limit to the scale of some Marvel relics either. Besides a decaying Ant-Man being used as a lair, there's also a Chitauri Leviathan seen in the sand looking a little worse for wear. You can also spot what may or may not be a SHIELD helicarrier, depending on whether it came from the Deadpool movie or the MCU. As for the X-Men side of things, there's also a huge chunk of the Golden Gate Bridge right in the middle of the Void, which was last seen torn apart courtesy of Magneto in X-Men: The Last Stand. There's also a reference to a movie released decades before the MCU even started. The burned-out car from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, the film starring Reynolds' comedy hero John Candy, has made its way to the Void as well. After an exceptional bit of dance choreography and desecration of a hero, Deadpool and Wolverine flashes back to Wade in the office of Stark Industries' top dog Happy Hogan. Wade is trying his best to get in with the Avengers, but he gets politely shot down by Hogan, who tells him he can't just be in it for the fancy title and needs something to fight for. While it might take a while for this lesson to sink in, viewers can spot some memorable paraphernalia spread around the room. Most of the items on show are understandably related to Tony Stark. There's Pepper's gift to Tony, proving that he did have a heart after all, along with a shiny silver piece of Mark II headgear. There's also the toy helmet worn by a child who was later revealed to be a young Peter Parker, who tried his hand at heroism in Iron Man 2. There's also a photo, taken years later, of the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist alongside his web-slinging protege. Of course, let's not ignore the Cap collectibles present either. Happy also has a collection of Captain America trading cards, just like the ones that were stained with Agent Coulson's blood in the Avengers. Stark's prototype of Steve's shield can also be seen resting on a cabinet. After seeing Wade and Logan leap through a portal in the first official trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, fans knew to expect some references to the mystic arts. Sure enough, Cassandra Nova has amassed a trove of magic artifacts that would make the collector jealous. First off, there's the sling ring, which Nova uses to open the gateway. She only could have gotten it by stealing it from a sorcerer.
Mastery of the sling ring is essential to the mystic arts. They allow us to travel throughout the multiverse.
Judging by an important bit of attire stretched out elsewhere in Nova's throne room, it seems like the so-called magician she took it from during her time in the Void was a variant of Doctor Strange. In the back of Nova's lair, you can get a glimpse of the cloak of levitation that Strange has worn ever since his debut in 2016. Of course, there's no chance that the Strange Nova presumably killed was the same Strange that fans have come to love. Thankfully, the Strange of Earth 616 is still out there. It's only a matter of time before Deadpool tracks him down and talks his head off though, and that might be a fate worse than death.